social media, what's going on? The fuck is today? Today's Monday. I'm kind of tired. Kind of tired. Went to this bank show last night. I mean, as you see if you're on my Snapchat. But I want to talk about something. They say don't meet your, I guess heroes in real life, right? And to some extent that may be true. I mean, if you ask me, right, off the top of my head, bro was mad cool. Bro was mad humble. Like, Banks is a humble ass dude. He's very approachable. At the same time, arrogant too, which is really weird. Like, but I mean, I would guess to be in an industry like rap, you kind of have to be. But I mean, he wasn't arrogant with the fans. He was more so arrogant on some rap shit, which makes sense. How do I feel like about meeting somebody I've been following for 20 years, right? You understand something? When I first heard these niggas, I was 13. Like, think about that in retrospect. That's 22 years I've been listening to the same person. Like, and I didn't realize how long it's been till I actually went to the it was like the 20-year anniversary of the album, right? But I've been listening to the motherfucker since before then, right? So for me, it's been longer. And you understand something? I remember getting roasted in fucking high school for liking Up North music. Like, I remember that being a thing when I was a kid. Like, it was a girl in my class that did it. I have a face in my head, but I can't picture. I don't remember her name. But she was like, "Why you like all that upstate shit?" I was like, "Man, these niggas can rap." Like, and I've always felt like that, right? Like, and it's so weird telling motherfuckers that you like upstate rap, being from Georgia. Like, okay, you understand something. I don't remember who, like, back then it might have been Ludacris or just, let's see, T.I., like, just, let's see, Jeezy wasn't out yet. I'm trying to go through my mental Rolodex. So who was the hot shit in 2002? Like, I can remember the first two albums I bought. Like, I had like a Walkman and shit and a bicycle. Like, I remember. Let me think, man. The first two albums I ever bought was Obi Trice Cheers and Chingy Jackpot. I remember I had like maybe $20. I might have had $25. And that was hard to get a hold to as a 13-year-old. But I remember those two albums specifically, right? And I always kind of fuck with the up north shit. Like, okay, you understand something. I've always gravitated to motherfuckers that can rap. Like, I've always been that person since I was a kid. You know what I mean? And when I think back to it, man, like, okay, picture being from Georgia trying to put your niggas on the New York shit, right? Niggas from Georgia act like New York niggas. I don't know what the fuck it is between North niggas and Southern niggas, but it's like this it's like this unsaid beef of like rap, like what, like preference, or like, okay, maybe since the South got something to say with Outkast, that was like a thing. I don't know. I was too young to remember all that, right? But it's one of those things where it's like, you try to put niggas on to the music you like and the shit you like. And it's like, the thing that used to always piss me off about niggas from the South is that niggas are only tuned into their shit. And I guess it's the same thing with New Yorkers, right? But I hear Southern music in New York a little bit. Like, motherfuckers will like down South shit. Motherfuckers from down South do not fuck with niggas from New York like that. And that was a line I've been towing since I was a kid. like, okay, I would say it's more so an identity crisis, right? Picture growing up going to clubs in the South and, you hear Jeezy and all the other shit, right? But really liking New York music. Like, I remember thinking as a kid, like, damn, these niggas don't play nothing from nowhere else. It's always Southern shit, right? And don't get me wrong, Southern music is hard. Listen, some of them, like that, a lot of them old Gucci Mane mixtapes, and I mean Fat Gucci. If you was around for Fat Gucci used to get the club shot up, right? And that was the other thing I thought when I went out. Nigga, I probably won't do another concert for a long fucking time. Like, I'm 35, my body cannot handle this shit like I used to. Like, okay, when you 20 something and you go out and you party and everything, you have the energy for that type of shit. Doing this shit as a 35-year-old, whole different ball game. Like, personally, right? let's say WrestleMania comes around, because I'm a big wrestling fan, right? I would do the meet and greets. Like, I'd hang out with these motherfuckers, meet the Big Show, meet Triple H is someone I would want to meet. Triple H is another one. Banks is up there. Triple H is another one. I would love to meet Triple H. I was always a fan of Triple H as a kid. I thought that nigga was maniacal as a motherfucker. Like, hopping my grandma's fence to watch Monday Night Raw. You know, when I was a kid, back when she was alive and her boyfriend was alive and everything. Like, those are some of my best memories. You know, but like but to sit at a WrestleMania, and then now WrestleMania is like 2 nights long. Like, that's like a whole Comic-Con. Like, nah, bro, I watch this shit from the house. Like, I gotta really, really, really want to meet you to motherfucking go to a show. Not only that, right? But one thing I kind of didn't like about the concert, and I mean, this is probably my own lack of education, is that they tell you to be there at 8. The show didn't start till 11:30. Like, and there wasn't no chairs in the place, so you just standing in that motherfucker, right? But I will preface that and say, I will go on the other side of the coin and say this, right? However tired I was, when that nigga walked out, all that shit went out the window. All right? But I hate the way rap shows are structured. Like, they have you get there at 8 o'clock because they're like, oh, you know, be there at 8, it starts at 8. You know, you're thinking like, oh, be there at 8 o'clock. You know, no big deal. Right? You get there, and then you just wait. And I mean, they drug this shit like a motherfucker for like at least 2.5 hours. Like, oh, we're going to bring them out. You're going to bring them out to the point where you start to not believe it. Like, you know, and his openers were cool. Like, you know, I'm not a fan of openers. Like, but one of the openers was really good. Like, I ain't gonna stunt. You know, I follow the guy on Instagram. Like, one of the openers was really like a cool cat. But yeah, man. I don't like the way niggas structure their rap shows. Like, I do get it. However, I do understand it. I really do understand it. I mean, but I'm not a fan of like waiting 2 hours for somebody. Like, if I could have shaved off 2, like that, and I think that's my own fault because I went up there at the exact same time they, you know, showed said, hey, it was be here at 8 o'clock. That's on my part. That's negligence on me. That, you know, but I don't go to a lot of concerts. Not only that, but I mean, again, I probably won't do this again. Not necessarily because of him, but you know. Then that was the other thing, right? This reminded me of why I don't fuck with black clubs like that. Like, okay, for the concert that I went to, that to me was worth it. But the club itself, not saying the club was bad, it wasn't bad. But I don't like hanging around niggas and getting the feeling this place is gonna get shot at because they didn't patch search nobody on the way in. Like, I'm not saying Toronto's not dangerous like that. And that was the other thing that kind of got me, right? Motherfuckers in Toronto do, like, low-key don't like Americans. Like, they are like, listen, y'all motherfuckers are arrogant. Y'all think shit sweet. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, this is the energy. I ain't even say nothing. I'm like, oh, all right, bet. Like, you know what I'm saying? Something. It would take a nigga like Banks for me to go through all of that. And then the meet and greet, right? Line around the whole club. Jesus Christ. Like, at this point, again, I would not go to another show as a 35-year-old, at least not without seats. Like, I can see why. Okay, I remember probably like maybe like some time ago, right? They announced that Method Man said, like, you know, I'm not doing no more shows, like no more Summer Jam, right? Because the motherfuckers in the audience are too young to know what the fuck Rottweiler is. Amazing point, right? Because I don't think nobody above the age of 35 is really gonna be in the crowd like that, just sitting there waiting for you to come out and perform a song. Nigga, this shit took a different type of strain out of me to do this. Like, man, listen, I could have went home and laid on a bag of ice how long we was out that motherfucker, right? It's like, okay, as a fan, get to the point. I understand why it's structured like that, but god damn, like 4 or 5 hours of a show, and I mean there was no chairs, you just standing in that motherfucker. Like, nigga, it wasn't enough stretching. I'm catching cramps in my feet. Like, and that was the other part that stood out to me, right? I could tell this performing the way he performs. Niggas, listen, the nigga smoked the fuck out that shit. But I can tell he getting old. Like, his age is starting to show a little bit. Like, not saying that he wasn't a good performer. The nigga's a professional like a motherfucker. But I can tell, like if I was him, I wouldn't want to perform for longer than an hour either. Because I can see that shit taking a toll on his body. He was just like, nigga, like, don't have me come out here and perform this shit and y'all bullshitting. I can understand that concept. But I will say this, right? Let's compare. Because if I remember 50 Cent came to Buffalo. Now, I like 50. Don't get me wrong. 50 tickets is outrageous. I'm not paying $1,500 to see anybody. Like, I don't have that type of money. That's a personal take for me. It's not that serious. 2, I like 50, but I'm not, like, okay, 50, I put 50 where I put Jay-Z. I'm all right not meeting the nigga. Like, I mean, it'd be cool meeting the nigga, but I'm all right if I don't. Like, because I know the shit that it's going to take to actually go, like, okay, the thing about the Banks show, right? Banks is more of an underground rapper. So his show is a little bit more personal. Meaning, like, if you stood in the right place in the crowd, you could reach out and actually shake this nigga hand. Right? You can't do that shit at a 50 Cent show. You'd have to pay like $5,000 for front row seats or whatever the case may be, right? To shake, and you probably won't be able to reach up and touch this nigga. Pause. Like, you probably won't be able to shake this nigga hand. Like, you know, and then the meet and greet for 50 Cent is gonna be insane. Like, okay, picture a meet and greet for Jay-Z. Like, that line would be from fucking Toronto all the way back to the motherfucking border of Buffalo. Ain't nobody got time for that. Like that was the other part about the meet and greet that got me. Like, a part of me, a small part of me, if I did not fuck with this nigga the way I did, I would have walked out that motherfucker. Like, I'd have been like, fuck this shit. I'm walking out. I'm going about my business. Like, because, nigga, my body was shot. So I can understand him being pissed off by motherfuckers playing in the audience. It's like, nigga, it take, like, because I would imagine he's like 44. Like, you know, I forget his age off the top of my head, but he's like in his 40s. He's headed toward his mid-40s. And I can imagine performing at that level, it takes it out of you to do that. Like, okay, I watch a lot of wrestling, right? And I can tell when a wrestler's getting old, right? And it's like, you know, you're sitting in there, you're putting on this performance for people, and you putting all your energy into it, and motherfuckers are still like, give me more, give me more, give me more. Like, I can kind of understand that concept a little bit. You know what I mean? Right? I get that thinking. I understand that train of thought. Like, I can see why a motherfucker would not want to perform. Like, they was like, oh, Jay-Z don't give a fuck about Hip Hop 50. I can see why he wouldn't. Because why would I, as a 52-year-old, come out that motherfucker to perform? Like, y'all gonna want me to perform an hour? Like, realistically speaking, I can see why some of these people are like this. Like, I don't think it's crazy for a motherfucking artist to be like, listen, I'm not gonna just do anything. Especially if you built up your name to a certain point. Like, I can see why motherfuckers like, nah. But I mean, if you ask me, for all the shit that he went through to perform and all the shit, the pain, he probably is like, I would imagine he might be like really worn the fuck. Like, I would imagine at this age, he probably be really worn the fuck out, right? Like, okay, I remember me and my girlfriend, like, some of her friends came in town and we went to a Cat Williams show. Now, I like Cat Williams. I think Cat Williams is a funny dude. I like Cat Williams. I don't like Cat Williams enough to sit through 3 hours of openers. Like, nigga, it takes a level of stamina to go to concerts. Like, okay, my girlfriend's this thing where she's like, I don't fuck with concerts no more. Like, because we was going to go to the Jhené Aiko concert, but, like, I can see why she wouldn't want to do it. Because unless you were as close, like, okay, you understand something? Banks was so close, I could have threw a rock at this nigga. Like, if the artist that you're going to see is not that fucking close to you, and unless you got the money to pay for motherfucking seats where you can be right up under this motherfucker, to me, it wouldn't be worth it. Like, I remember we went to that Cat Williams concert. That shit, man, listen, by the time Cat Williams came out, my girlfriend was already drunk. Like, we're tired. We done been sitting there. The seats ain't comfortable. We in the nosebleeds. Like, what the fuck? Nigga, I can watch your ass on the television. It is not that deep. Like, I think you gotta really like a motherfucker to go to their concert. And I mean, yeah, I would say you gotta. I would say if you're gonna go to a concert and you're gonna put yourself through the hell of a concert, because if you are in your 30s, I'm telling you, it's gonna whoop your motherfucking ass. If that concert does not have seats or seat warmers, you are gonna feel it. Like, nigga, if you ain't going to a concert where you can see that motherfucker personally, or you take pictures with that person personally, because I mean, to me, I got a lot out of this to pay. I paid 50 for the ticket, and I paid 120 for the meet and greet. Right? To me, that was very reasonable for the shit that I got out of it. Like, very reasonable. And look, man, for the 5 seconds I talked to dude, like, bro's cool's a motherfucker. Like, that was the other thing I think I was impressed by, right? There's not a lot of motherfuckers that I can say that about. He's exactly who he says he is in his raps. I can tell that. I can tell. I mean, I'm not saying a nigga done shot niggas. Like, I'm not a kid. I know motherfuckers ain't shooting niggas on a daily. But I'm saying, like, that rap style, that arrogant, like, fucking, that arrogant way. I could tell based on his personality, just within the 5 minutes of meeting him, that a lot of that shit came from his brain. Like, if I met Drake, like, I would be able to tell Drake would be on some funny shit or fake shit. Like, Drake is almost too famous for his own good, but I digress, right? I could tell that he has a passion for the sport of rap. And I think that was the thing that made me fuck with it as a kid. Because here's the thing. I like rap music, but rap music is dying out. What I mean is, niggas don't want to rap no more. Y'all are just phoning this shit. A lot of you new niggas is just phoning this shit in. Like, y'all are rapping for money. Like, y'all are not rapping because you're passionate about the sport of rap. Like, I can tell this nigga love rap for real. Like, listen, it's crazy when you meet a person, right? Personally me, right? You gather so much about a person within 5 minutes. Like, it didn't take me long to pick up on that. Like, okay, this nigga live for this shit. Like, but him leaving for rap is also the same thing as whooping his ass. Because, being passionate about something is one thing. Having motherfuckers understand that passion is another. Right? And the thing about rap fans are very fickle. Like, okay, for all the shit that Drake's done for rap, right? When Kendrick Lamar came out with all these disses and, he don't diss this shit, motherfuckers don't give a fuck about no Drake. Like, motherfuckers are kind of off Drake. Like, people have turned on Drake. I think Drake is still a very good artist. One of my favorite songs for that entire beef was Family Matters. Like, my favorite song from that whole rap shit was Family Matters. Like, I like that whole G-Unit spinner in the beginning, him crushing the Good Kid, Mad City van. I like shit like that. Like, I'm a rap fan for real. And what I notice about rap motherfuckers these days, y'all niggas is just dialing it in just to get a paycheck. And I can tell when motherfuckers are doing it. I'm not a kid no more, right? And speaking of being a kid, I'm glad I didn't go to this concert as a 17-year-old. Two things, right? I'm glad I didn't go to this concert as a 17-year-old. And I'm glad I didn't get drunk. Like, you know what I mean? I'm saying, like, drunk as a 17-year-old. Nigga, if I was like a motherfucking 16-year-old and I went to one of these concerts like a 17-year-old, I probably would have tweaked the fuck out. Like, because, like, okay, I wouldn't say I was starstruck, right? I wouldn't go as far as saying I'm starstruck because I don't think I had that in me anymore. But when the nigga walked on the stage, just like for like a good 5 minutes, I was like, holy shit, the nigga's like right there. Like, okay, you've been listening to a motherfucker for 20-something years and then you actually meet him? Like, not only that, but then the motherfucker's personality matches up with the raps. It's like, for like a split second, for like a little bit, I was like, oh snap, he's like right there. For like a split second, I turned into a little kid again. For just a hair, right? But I'm a 35-year-old man. And I'm glad I saw this shit as a 35-year-old man because I was able to just dap the nigga up. Hey man, I appreciate everything you do for music. You know what I mean? I can tell that, okay, there was a point in the nigga's career, if you give a fuck, that, he stopped releasing music like mainstream for like a good like 10 years and he was just dropping mixtapes. I could tell by the way this nigga performed that he probably gonna keep putting out music. Like, some people just have a love for the sport. Like, some people, like, okay, there's motherfuckers that wrestle for money and then there's motherfuckers that wrestle because they're passionate about the business. And I think that's the thing I connect to in certain people, right? I like 50 Cent, but I can tell he's more so on the business end. I like Jay-Z, but I can tell he's more so on the business end. I fuck with them niggas that rap, that try to rap better than the other nigga, and that's what they live to do this shit for. And I got that out of that motherfucker when I shook his hand. And I was on it for like 5 minutes. Like, but you know, I put like at this age, I can get a lot off you just being around you for 5-10 minutes. Like, and you know, I can tell that, you know, like, okay, it was one of those things that, one, it made me appreciative to just be a fan. You know what I mean? Not only that, but it really reaffirmed that, nigga, I don't ever want to be famous for any reason. Like, the demand that it takes to fucking just cater to fucking fans, listen, I'd have been like, fuck you niggas too. Because people really demand shit off of your favorite artist. Like, you gotta understand something. I can imagine from the artist perspective that motherfuckers are just like, give me more, give me more, give me more. Like, niggas want to know your life. They want to know your kids. They want to, like, some motherfuckers take it to the level of fanatic. Like, it ain't that. I mean, listen, I'm a fan, but like fanatic, like, okay, like some of y'all get like, okay, take the Beehive for example, right? Anytime, like, the Beehive is one of them kind of like hives. Like, you say anything about Beyonce, these motherfuckers is on your ass. They at your front door. They are trying to kidnap your kids from school. Like, it's never that serious. Like, I think y'all are just people that are tweaked out in the head that have other mental issues when y'all act like that toward other people. Like, it's cool to be a fan of a motherfucker, but like, relax. Like, but I mean, and that was the other thing about the concert that I did. Like, it was people that I felt like I could have been friends with. It's weird being in a concert and liking the same shit that, and like, okay, everybody in the concert was there for the same reason, but we all didn't know each other. And we all had the same amount of passion for the same shit. Like, I've never experienced that before because I've always been on an island with the bank shit. Like, I've always been the only motherfucker that fuck with upstate shit. I've always just been on that island by myself. Like, so to be in a crowd full of like maybe 200-300 people that felt the exact same way was a very enlightening experience. Like, if I tried hard enough, I could have walked away with at least 4 or 5 friends. Probably more than that. Because, I mean, everybody was there for the same reason, right? You know, and then it set this thing off in my head. Like, if you're passionate about something, like, okay, I'm a passionate wrestling fan. Like, I'm not in the forums arguing with niggas, but I'm a big wrestling fan. Like, I like talking to other wrestling fans. Like, y'all will, it kind of does this weird shit where, one, it brings it all together, brings everybody all together. Not only that, but if you're passionate about something, follow your passion. That's the thing that will get you through. Like, when I make these YouTube videos, this is not something I have to try to do. I am the content. Like, I don't try to, you know, okay, there's people that have to try to make content and try to make stuff up. I'm someone that the content comes like that because it's my personality. I'm really just talking on the top of my head. Like, I don't have to put a lot of thought into it. I'm just lifting. Like, I didn't write down no script to like say this or whatever. This is just some shit that I like to do. Like, but yeah, man, you know, I don't know. Like, a 20-year build to meet the person and the person is exactly who he says he is. That's a good feeling. Like, man, listen, it would suck to meet a motherfucker and then, you know, been following their music and they're not the person in the music. That would be, as a fan, that would be disappointing. Like, picture you meet Drake and then you like Drake like a motherfucker and then you found that this nigga is some other shit. Like, that would be deflating. And I feel the opposite of that feeling. I'm like, man, not only that, but I gotta come to Toronto more. There's a lot. Listen, Toronto is unexplored territory for me. If I ever want to leave the country and I'm sick of America, Toronto is the first place I'm going. Like, there's a lot of things to do here. Like, oh, okay, I've always delivered here and brought over. Like, I drive for JB Hunt and all that other bullshit. But like, getting to hang out with people and feeling the atmosphere, Toronto is a really nice place. Now, I get low key, it's not sweet. Like, that's what them niggas in the club taught me. Like, these motherfuckers, these Toronto motherfuckers, they really do not like Americans. But I digress, right? The city of Toronto was one of those things to me. It felt really good to come here. You know what I mean? And I felt really good bringing my girlfriend. That was the other part that stood out to me. Like, I get a lot out of taking her places. Like, because, I mean, I guess as a 35-year-old that's been in the Navy, you know, and that's done all this shit, sometimes it feels like your life is, like, peaked a little bit. Like, there's nothing left, right? And the greatest gift I can give is to give that gift to someone else and watch them enjoy it for the first time. Like, I like bringing her places. I like seeing how she reacts to things when it's like, when it's somewhere where she's never been, or someone like seeing a person experience something for the first time, you know what I mean, that you've been dealing with for a while. It feels good to like be able to give that gift to someone else. And I think that really, outside of the concert and the meet and greet and the party and all the other shit, that was one of the things that I really walked away from this trip with. I like taking this girl places. I like doing stuff with her. That felt really good to do that. So, But yeah, man, I mean, Toronto is a place I'm definitely coming back to. This was well worth my money, right? Well worth it. He could have charged me. He should have charged another $200-$300 for the way he did this shit. But I mean, whatever. But Toronto is definitely a place I want to come back to. I'm definitely gonna do more here. You know what I mean? The vibe here is very cool, and I think I'm just one of them niggas. Like, I'm weird, so I don't necessarily connect to what everybody else connects to. But Toronto is a place that it feels very accepting, and there's a lot more to it. So, just wanted to get my thoughts about the concert and everything that was happening. I'm grateful that I went, and I'll definitely be back. I don't know when, don't know how long, but I'm definitely coming back to Toronto. I'm definitely coming back. But it's Monday. A nigga, like, I'm tired. I'm a touch hungover, so I'm probably gonna go back to the room and lay down for a bit, man. But anybody that watches my channel, watches my Snapchat, I appreciate you being around, because it ain't about the masses. It's about the people that fuck with you for the shit that you really are, and that's what I got out of all this, man. I'm gonna lay my black ass down because I'm ugh.